I'm on a cruise with my entire family, and yes, I mean all of them. And we're island hopping through the Bahamas, the Dominican Republic, the British Virgin Islands, and today we've washed up in St. Thomas. Now, St. Thomas is stunning, but I won't be lounging on any beaches today. In fact, I'm not going to see much of what the US Virgin Islands has to offer. But what we do have in store is way better. You see, a year ago, my sister earned her scuba certification, and this is the first time that we're going to be diving together. It's also the first time either of us have been diving in the Caribbean. This dive trip is also going to be her first saltwater dive, wreck dive, and most exciting of all, shark dive, but she doesn't know that yet because we haven't gotten in the water. This is just how our family travels. So if you're new to the channel, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button because this sort of happens all the time.
Hey, woohoo!
We're diving with Underwater Adventure Scuba, an operator based in St. Thomas in the US Virgin Islands. This is an excursion that we booked through our cruise on the Norwegian Escape. This first dive takes us through a little bit of a coral reef just off of Turtle Cove on Buck Island. And it wasn't long after getting into the water that our dive master Raina pointed out these reef sharks that were swimming around just beneath us. I'd say my sister seems to be handling her first shark encounter well. Buck Island and the Buck Island Reef, which is what we're diving on right now, is located just off of St. Thomas in the US Virgin Islands. It's part of a protected marine area, and as you can see from all these video shots, it's teeming with life. From what I could find online, the coral here is actually surprisingly healthy, and a big part of that is because of the conservation efforts that are going on.
All right, Jen, what do you think of your first saltwater dive?
It was pretty amazing.
It was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
What was your highlight?
The sharks. Swimming with the sharks. We got a lot of shark action.
Yeah. Well, a little bit of lionfish, sharks, sea urchins, lots of fish, lots of marine life down there.
Yep.
So, water was warm?
Water was extremely
Don't think
comfortable.
you needed a wetsuit or anything like that?
I think what's important to know is taking care of the coral while you're swimming.
Yeah.
That's always very important. Keeping our ecosystem safe.
Yeah, absolutely. So now we're gearing up for dive number two.
We're not moving anywhere. Instead of going left, we're going to go right.
As we were getting ready for our next dive, our dive master Raina gave us a little bit of the history of the wreck itself, the Cartanza Senora. Getting into the water, we found ourselves immediately greeted by these little fish who decided to chew on my fins, and then the dive began. This portion was also full of marine life, but more importantly, what we were looking for here was the hulk of the Cartanza Senora. It was a former World War II freighter. This ship was used to transport all sorts of goods from South America to the Caribbean. The rumor has it that eventually the crew of the Cartanza began to sort of expand their export business in the 70s to include some less than legal cargo. Eventually, the U.S. Coast Guard decided it was time to raid this vessel. The crew overheard plans of this raid in a local bar, and they decided that they were going to take that cargo and then scuttle the ship. The United States Army Corps of Engineers were called in to relocate the Cartanza, but unfortunately they wound up causing a lot of damage to the wreck. Eventually, funding was able to be raised to relocate the Cartanza and make it into a more accessible dive site, but an accident happened during that relocation that dropped the ship in more than 80 feet of water, which really sort of limited diving access to those of us that have advanced open water certifications. The ship rested here for a long time, and then when Hurricane Hugo came through, it actually hit the ship and rolled it over and over again until it wound up where it was originally intended to be dropped, in 40 feet of water just off of Buck Island. I'm going to say a quick hello to this lobster who's camped out underneath this piece of the wreckage, and then the dive is almost over. Now, you might be thinking, Nick, this isn't like most of your normal travel videos, and you'd be right. It's pretty hard to narrate when you're underwater breathing through a hose. But this is exactly the kind of travel that I absolutely live for. This is why I do it. I had a chance to spend the day with my little sister, and we had an amazing time. On top of that, we met some of the coolest people along the way. It's something that I think about often. Having been to as many countries as I've been to, there's a lot of things about travel that don't really faze me anymore, like arriving in an airport where you don't speak the language and having to decode how to get a taxi. No, for me, travel is more about the people that you know and love, your family, your friends, and the people that you meet along the way. People who were strangers once and they're friends now. Really, that's what travel is for me. It's an opportunity to connect. So thank you for being here. This is Nick Goes Far. I'm Nick, and I'm glad you're here.